So I want to provide an update on my pole building electric install. Just thought I'd do this with a quick walk around. My pole building is next to the in-ground pool that's been here for at least 15 years. So this obviously has power coming out to it. And the electrician that I chose to connect my building was clever enough to be able to reuse the conduit that already brings power back to the pool. So what's really going on here is that they added a new conduit from this box. You see it goes down, goes underground, goes about 20 inches. It was put in before I did this paver project, and then comes up and goes into the building over there. So we've got 60 amps coming into the building. It's off a separate breaker at the main box in the house. So they installed this breaker box for me. It's a Siemens box, not that that really matters. And I've added 4 breakers to it, only 3 of which I'm currently using. So to start with, I started with overhead lighting. I put LED shop lights in here, and to do that I needed some switched outlets. So I've got one switched outlet there, one here, and then I put another one over here. Now my understanding is they all needed to be GFCI because they're outlets, outdoor outlets. And what I did is I put a 15 amp GFCI right here. So this is the first stop on that circuit. So that controls that whole 15 amp circuit. And then it returns through the conduit all the way up there to the ceiling, and then from there it comes across, and then it drops down here into the switch box, which right now only has a single switch in it. And that switch is also on that, obviously that same circuit, but it also branches off, so there's an unswitched portion as well. But obviously this one switch right now controls my interior lights. The unswitched circuit goes back up as well, and that actually goes to another outlet up here that will be for my garage door opener, which is not yet installed. But all those outlets are controlled through that switch, and they're all through the GFCI. Then, one of the primary reasons for the building is we have a RV, and I wanted to make sure we had proper service to power the RV. So I put in you can see I have it hooked up, but I put in a proper 30 amp connection for the RV. I'm not going to pull the plug on it, but you can believe me, that's a suitable 30 amp connection. Kind of looks like a dryer connection, but it's a 110 30 amp. So that's fed down through the conduit, and then up there you can see I've got the 10 gauge wire coming into the top of the conduit. That 10 gauge wire goes up along that rafter all the way to the other side, and then comes back through the big conduit going down into the box and hooks into a 30 amp breaker in the box. And then the last circuit I just finished installing is a 20 amp. I call it my shop circuit. It's this circuit over here. This is ultimately where I'm going to have my workbench and so forth. So I wanted to have 20 amp over here. And it's all run through conduit. It's 20 amp. It's a 12 gauge wire. And that also has a GFCI on it. So this is the first outlet on that, and it does work correctly. And of course that feeds up through a conduit as well. So the yellow wire there is the 20 gauge. Yeah, it's the 12 gauge wire for the shop circuit. So I will be adding some exterior lights here at some point, but for now I think that's what I've got here is good enough to get me going. So I'm pretty happy with the way it all worked out.